I never imagined my mistakes would come back to haunt me so soon, or so cruelly. When I cheated on my husband, I told myself it was a fleeting moment of weakness, a lapse I could bury deep enough to forget, something I could move past without consequence. It began with a colleague from work. A bit of chemistry, a few harmless jokes, flirtation that slipped too easily into late-night messages and stolen touches. And before I even fully realized what I was doing, I was lying to a man who had loved me unconditionally for 8 long, unwavering years. Daniel was the kind of man people described as too good for this world. Patient in a way that made silence feel safe, soft-spoken with a calm strength that never sought praise or attention. He was my home, the place where I always felt held. Maybe that's exactly why I took him for granted. He never raised his voice, never pried too deep. He always believed in the best version of me, even when I had long stopped being that person. The affair didn't stretch on for years, just a few months, but the damage it did left deep, spreading cracks I could no longer ignore. I thought I had hidden the truth well enough. I deleted messages. I was careful not to act suspicious. I smiled more home, leaned into normalcy just enough to quiet my own guilt. But I underestimated Daniel. I forgot that he noticed everything, even when he said nothing. He saw the late nights, the shift in my affection, the distant glaze in my eyes when he tried to reach me. He saw it all and said nothing, until the night everything quietly fell apart. I came home and found a white envelope resting on the dining table. No address, no formalities. Just my name, written in his precise, unmistakably neat handwriting. My fingers trembled as I opened it, breath caught somewhere between dread and denial. Inside were 2 folded pages. The first was a typed copy of our wedding vows, word for word, line by line. The second was a note, brief and cutting in its simplicity. Asterisk, I meant every word of these vows. I still do, but I can't keep pretending you do too. Asterisk. I sank into the chair and stared at the paper. I read the vows out loud, barely able to form the words without breaking. Each line hit, like a wave crashing over a body already too tired to swim. Asterisk, I promise to love you even when it's hard. I promise to choose you every day. Asterisk, I have broken every single promise we made to each other, and seeing them there in print, honest, bare, was like being exposed to myself for the first time. The note wasn't angry. There were no accusations, no bitterness, just sadness, silence, and that silence hurt more than any screaming ever could. I tried to call him. No answer. I drove to his brother's house, to his parents' place, to every location I thought he might be. But Daniel had vanished, leaving behind only the echo of the love I had shattered. He took just a suitcase, his passport, and his dignity. Later, a mutual friend told me he'd gone overseas. He needed space. He couldn't be near the home, the life, the memories I had so carelessly poisoned. The days that followed bled together. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I'd sit in the dark and stare at our wedding photo, wondering, how did I let this happen? I had clung to my excuses for so long. He seemed distant. I felt lonely, like something was missing, but those rationalizations crumbled in the face of his quiet pain. The truth was uglier. I had betrayed someone who had only ever loved me. A week passed before I heard from him. Just a single text. I need time to think about what I want next. No venom. No anger. Just distance. That cut deeper than any insult. He wasn't fighting for me. He wasn't chasing. He was letting go. And that terrified me. I had always believed that no matter what, Daniel would stay. That his love was an anchor I could drift from and still find tethered when I came back. But this time, the rope had been severed. I started therapy. I blocked the man I'd cheated with, erased every trace of that mistake from my life. I began writing letters to Daniel, pages filled with apologies and reflections I never sent. I faced the darkness inside me for the first time. I tried to understand why I had done what I did, why I had been so careless with something sacred. It was a brutal process, a daily peeling back of layers I'd long hidden even from myself. But I kept going because I owed Daniel that truth, and I owed it to myself. The months crawled by. We spoke occasionally, always through text. He'd ask how therapy was going, tell me he was taking care of himself. Once, he said he didn't hate me. That stunned me. I didn't deserve even that. But no matter how kind his words seemed, he never once hinted at returning. The house stayed hollow, the bedroom echoing with silence. That empty closet stared back at me every morning, a reminder of the life I lost. Then, on what would have been our anniversary, he called. His voice was calm, unfamiliar now in its strength. He said, I'm not calling to talk about us. I just wanted you to know, I forgive you, but I don't think I can come back. The finality of those words broke me all over again. But I didn't cry into the phone or plead. I knew I had no right to ask for more. He said, we might be able to be friends one day. That maybe, with enough time and distance, we could find something small and quiet between us. But the man who once held me like I was his entire world was now someone I'd have to learn to admire from afar, a ghost wrapped in boundaries I had to respect. I wake up each morning trying to be better, not to win him back, not for some dramatic reunion, but because I owe it to the woman I promised I'd become when I stood before him in that white dress. I failed her. I failed him. But I'm trying to rebuild what's left. The vows he printed still sit on my nightstand. I read them often, not to torment myself, but to remember, to hold close the kind of love I once had, and the way I failed to protect it. Some stories don't end with forgiveness and homecomings. Some just end with quiet acceptance and the hard, slow work of healing. And that's okay, because sometimes losing something beautiful is the only thing that finally teaches you how to become whole.